Welcome to Feminist Frequency Radio. This is the show that asks you to be critical of the media you love. I'm Kat Spada, and this is your Fortnightly FREQout mini-episode. If you can't tell from the sound of my voice, I am sick, so I'm going to keep it quick. All the industry news I'm going to share today is a congratulations to last week's podcast guest, Oscar Montoya, who just received the Supporting Actor Award TV for his role as Richie on Minx at the Critics' Choice Celebration of Cinema and Television, honoring Black, Latino, and AAPI achievements. I'm so proud of him, and I've really been enjoying catching up on season 2 of Minx, which came out this summer on Starz. Please check out last week's podcast where we had a blast talking about gremlins and discussing whether or not Gizmo, the Mogwai, has queer energy. And now, since I have to conserve my energy, queer or otherwise, I just have one topic to discuss on today's Fortnightly FREQout: Beyonce. Last weekend, I went to a showing of Renaissance, a film by Beyonce, the documentary concert film companion to her 2022 album and concert tour from earlier this year. Just like Taylor Swift's Eras Tour film, I hadn't seen either concert live myself, but the only reason I'm invoking one to compare it to the other is because both women forged this unique distribution model where they paid for the films to go through AMC theaters themselves without a company middleman. And while I'm better versed in Taylor Swift's music, which feel free to drag me for that, I don't care, her film was missing one big thing that I always want to see in a music film or a concert film, which is behind-the-scenes footage. Luckily, Renaissance has plenty of scenes showing just how much work it takes to put on a tour like this one, although I could probably watch a whole separate 2-hour documentary just detailing production, rehearsal, prep, design. I really could have gone with even more. If I had just one takeaway from this film, it's that no one person probably has ever worked harder for their billions than Beyonce Knowles Carter. She's been in the public eye for so long and had so many chapters of her musical persona and her public identity. And by this point, she's decision-making on the level of major corporate CEO, mayor of the city of people employed to pull off the massive scale of the tour, creative choices equal to that of any auteur filmmaker, not to mention creating the music, performance, dance, stagecraft, beauty, and costuming that is meaningful to millions of fans. There is a bit of exploration in this film of how she juggles being a human being with injuries and physical therapy and stamina needs, a wife, although Jay-Z mostly figures as a supportive husband in the background here, and a mother, especially as her preteen daughter, Blue Ivy, starts to long for the spotlight and learn about the trials and tribulations of being a performer on a massive stage. But the most affecting part of this whole story is when you get to see how even Beyonce has to fight to be heard, even when she's in charge of this whole damn thing. The way that women, especially Black women, have to push back against people telling them no is writ large when it's Beyonce having to repeat herself and back up her creative requests with her own research. It just goes to show that the people she's hired to execute her vision don't trust her to know what's best. And she's hired the best. So it's not like she hired the wrong people. It's just that this is so commonplace that people don't even think twice about it. She asked for a wider angle lens. They say there isn't one. She has to go back and forth with them before they reveal that, well, there actually is one that they could source, although they might have to work a little harder to get it. They say there's not a stage element as big as the one she's looking for. She tells them she's looked it up and found just that, and then they have to backpedal on their excuses. It's exhausting just to witness, and I'm so glad that she put it in her movie, because I've seen it happen to friends and colleagues of mine on much smaller scales, and I think white women often overlook this element of emotionally exhausting labor that's just like default added to Black women's work. The dancers, the references to ballroom culture, huge amounts of set and production design are all incredible. But what had my jaw dropping several times throughout each of the film's 35 musical numbers was the sheer quantity of uniquely designed costume looks and pieces for each of the tour's 56 shows, none of which was ever worn twice. I couldn't believe the beauty of these costumes and how each performer, like all of the backup dancers, band members, they all had something different to wear that was fully cohesive with the aesthetic of the show. So you'd be watching a number, and throughout, it would kind of cut between shows in different cities, and you'd get to see the wide variety of costuming that would go with the a performance of that number, and it was like your eye never knew where to land because there was so much to take in, and I loved that. I also would like absolutely devour like a coffee table book or something that goes through all of the costumes. Well, I know this is a real short one today, but it's about as much stamina as I currently have to record an episode because I am no Beyonce and I'm on like day 10 or something of being sick. But I'll say that the movie got me so hyped to listen to more of the Renaissance album. And I wonder if you saw the tour, if you got to go see it, or if you saw the concert film. I'd love to hear about your thoughts in the Patreon comments or on social media. That's been all for this mini episode of Feminist Frequency Radio. I'm on Twitter at cat_ex_machina, and you can follow the podcast on all the socials at FemFreak. I'll see you next week for a full-length episode of Feminist Frequency Radio. Bye-bye.